So, a couple of weeks ago, Patek released this, the Cubitus collection with 3 new models. The internet has had some strong feelings about it, like the internet does. But after being hands-on with all 3 models, I'm going to answer some of the questions I've been seeing the most and giving some of my thoughts. Also, quick disclaimer, all footage in here was shot on my iPhone. The people working in the shop asked me not to use my proper camera, but it was okay to use my phone. I don't know why, but yeah, the B-rolls won't be my usual quality, but it should still do the job. The first thing I wanted to know about the Cubitus is how it would wear on the wrist. Patek measured this as 45mm, but it's hard to know what that means for a square watch, and honestly, it is pretty large. So here it is on my 5.5-inch wrist and my husband's 7-inch wrist. This looks far more at home on his wrist, but I actually kinda don't hate it on me. It does look oversized, but a cool oversized. But still, if I was going to buy one of these, I would want it in a smaller model. Maybe if there's a 7821A one day. But as it is now, I would recommend this for a 7-inch wrist and up, depending on how comfortable you are with larger sized watches. Okay, so now looking at the design and if there was any design surprises. The Cubitus is essentially what if we took the Nautilus and made it square, and that's exactly what it feels like. It was kind of jarring to hold as someone who's pretty familiar with the Nautilus. There is something about the proportions that I don't like. The dial feels pretty large and spread out. There's too much open space on the dial. It kind of feels like there's too much blank space. If this was 3mm smaller, I think the dial would have better proportions, although the space problems were remedied on the Platinum 5822. I said this in my initial video and I still think it's true. I think the bracelet isn't wide enough for the watch head. It feels too narrow when meeting the head and they just don't match. I'm in a weird place with this one because I understand and I agree with all the complaints. It is a derivative design of the 5711. It feels like, what if we just took the Nautilus bracelet and put it on a square case? But I weirdly like it. Aesthetically, the 5822P is the best. I love the dial layout, I love the strap. I think the strap works better with the design than the bracelet and still leans into the sporty. One of the things that I was the most surprised by was how much I liked the two-tone in the metal. When these were first announced, it was the green dial stainless steel that was my favorite, but after being hands-on, I am very pleasantly surprised with the two-tone. I like the way the blue dial looks with it and how warm the rose gold alloy is. Now, the first thing I wanted to know was the size. How will the 48mm wear? But the second thing I wanted to know is, are people actually buying these? Is there a lot of interest? Are there waiting lists? So the reception has been contentious. Some people love these, some people hate them. Most of watch fam and the watch community hates them. There's a waiting list for all 3 models, with the most interest being with the 5822P and the 5821A. I think everyone foresaw the stainless steel being the most popular. For one, it will be the most inexpensive, which isn't cheap at all. And for 2, there is something so special about a stainless steel Patek. It's not a material they work with all that much, so it's always exciting when there is something in stainless steel. But the Platinum was surprising and not surprising all at the same time. Something I need to remember when talking about watches is not everyone is in the same price point as me. I personally couldn't dream of spending £75,000 on a watch. Ooh. But real Patek customers are in a different dimension. They have clients who spending £75,000 is small time. It's rookie season for them. It's no problem. I think a real Patek lover with some serious guacamole would be the most attracted to the Platinum, for one, the grand date, and with the baguette cut diamond being used for the first time. These are the things real Patek lovers go gaga over. Okay, let's talk money. When these were first announced, the price did seem high. These were being pitched as the new entry-level to Patek, but cost £15,000 more than the Aquanaut, which I always kind of saw as their entry-level sports model. After seeing these in person, I am comfortable saying The price is steep. I know it's a Patek Philippe. The entry-level prices will be different than Rolex, but I think the stainless steel should be nearer £25,000, the two-tone £40,000, and the platinum £65,000-ish. Now, I also know I am not the target demographic for these. For one, they're for cool young people, and I had to stay up late last night to dye over my gray roots, so I'm not sure they're for me. And two, they're for people with more money than me. But even still, I don't think these match their price tags. Moving into some of my thoughts now, seeing these in the flesh, seeing these in the metal has helped me get it a little bit more. I know it is more in vogue to hate on these, and I completely understand why the watch enthusiast community has been hating on these, but I am always cautious of a watch fam dog pile. I am very aware that I am in a pretty niche echo chamber of psychotic collectors, fellow psychotic collectors, and I am incredibly out of touch. If you are fluent in Rolex, if you know the word twin lock and you've ever used it before, you are 100% out of touch with normal people. So I didn't want to form any big grand opinions until I was hands-on. After seeing these, it really hasn't moved the needle for me. I went to our Patek appointment kind of liking these, and my husband didn't like them. And after our appointment, I'd say we're only further entrenched in what we already thought. I still like these. I don't love them, but I like them. And my husband still doesn't. For me, I am already a fan of square and rectangular watches, so I knew I would be sympathetic to the design. I like them. They just don't feel like the finished product yet. I think some proportions still need to be worked out. This feels like the Nautilus being Frankenstein square. I don't hate it. I just don't love it. I think people have been a wee bit harsh from a design perspective. Like, is it derivative of the Nautilus? Yes. But like, that's watchmaking, baby. Watch brands, especially heritage brands like Patek, have their aesthetic and design cues and stick to them. But disclaimer, I'm also a Rolex lover, and they have 4 separate models that look almost exactly the same. But it's Patek. They should be held to a high standard. And a genuinely good product doesn't need to be afraid of scrutiny, because it will outlive the initial shock if it is indeed a good product. There was another thing that happened that I think has also affected people's view of the Cubitus. A couple of weeks ago, Time and Tide posted this. This is a short excerpt from an interview Thierry Statement had with Balance, and it is translated from German to English, but the haters are mostly people who have never had a Patek and never will, so that doesn't bother me. Whoo, Thierry, this is a skull emoji moment. Editing Brit, put on the skull emoji. Put on a bunch of skull emojis. Yeah. So this hit people right in the feels, and rightfully so. I kind of thought it was funny, but I also love the idea that the president of Patek Philippe is an out-of-touch supervillain. Not every watch president and CEO is like this. Not all of them think like this. I personally know a few who don't, but there are definitely some who do. Honestly, even though it was a horrible thing to say out loud, it was kind of refreshing in that it's the first time in a while that I've heard someone say the silent things that they think out loud. In a world of bland corporate statements with meaningless jargon, Thierry said what he was thinking. He shouldn't have, but he did. I talked about this recently, but people will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. For a lot of people, Patek Philippe is a dream for them. This is a grail, and honestly, whether you can afford one or not, almost everyone holds them in a high esteem. So to say this is hurtful to a lot of people. And even if you don't care about a lot of people, it is certainly hurtful to the brand of Patek Philippe. I always say watches are the intersection of art, history, fashion, and engineering, but there's also a financial aspect of this intersection. There are a lot of people who can't afford to own a Patek, but I wouldn't make them feel small because they were critical of your newest watch. I don't know. To me, this kind of revealed that maybe the lack of fanfare was a bit of a soft spot for Stern and the team. But still, a good product should withstand scrutiny. In the same way, the government needs the shadow cabinet to push back. A good government should welcome scrutiny, should welcome ideas that aren't their own. Products need reviewers and to hear possible consumer feedback. So we should listen to people when they say things. And if it's any good, the cream will rise to the top. Where am I going with this? I'm just blabbing now. Okay, so as some time has passed, what do you think to the Cubitus? Has it grown on you? Do you hate it more? Let me know in those comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And now, let's thank the gorgeous, fabulous, wonderful, never did anything wrong in their lives ever because they're perfect, Pope tier patrons. Yes! Names on the screen, names on the screen. These are the Pope tier patrons of Gringatown. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, everyone, all patrons, for supporting my weird little channel. Special thank you to the Pope tier patrons. These are the names on the screen right now. If you're not a patron, if you're not a Pope tier patron, this is the time to become one because it's Christmas card season. I'm about to get the addresses or safe places where people would want me to send mail to them to send them the yearly Gringa Christmas card. But it only goes to the Pope tier patrons. So if that's something you want, the link's down below. Thank you so much to everyone. You're all amazing. And I hope you keep enjoying my weird little channel. Okay, bye guys.